Hey everyone, I'm Danny Gavin, the founder of Optidge. Today I'm speaking with Shaz Butte, co-founder and owner of Highlands Construction and Highlands Development. All right, so let's jump right in. Why don't you tell everyone a little bit about Highlands Construction?
Sure. So Highlands Construction is a commercial general contractor in Houston, Texas. We do mostly interiors, build outs, remodels, all kinds of industries, education, medical, hospitality, and most of our revenue is actually in the industrial side, warehouses. And then recently started Highlands Development a couple years ago. We are investing in properties. Bought an office building a couple years ago. Did some work to it. We just sold it in December, actually, and did well on that. And then we've purchased some property in the Beaumont area, and we've got a strip center that we've got leased up now, and we're working on getting to develop it with some warehouses.
Wow, that's wonderful. It's funny because I usually compare SEO to real estate. And I usually say like just like SEO takes some time, real estate also. But it seems like that when Shaz does real estate, it happens quickly, right? We turn it around and make that money right away.
Yeah, well, it's one of those guys that a lot of people say, it's a little too fast paced. Maybe I get on people to get things done quickly, but make it happen.
That's wonderful. And so why don't you tell our audience a little bit, how did you get into construction? Like, was it always a passion? Like, were you a kid? Were you like playing in the dirt and you just loved it? So I'd love to know how
Yeah.
you got there.
So when I was like 12 or 13, I remember telling my grandfather that I wanted to design and build communities, subdivisions, master plan communities kind of thing. My father still is a small developer in Houston. So I had seen construction through that side of the business. I always wanted to become a developer in the long run, but it's not very easy. I figured if I can start with construction, which I enjoyed, um, I can become good at that, start a company, get it cash flowing, and then eventually turn that expertise in construction into advantage and to get into the development business. So as a teenager, I would see my dad's projects here and there, and then I ended up getting into UT, which had no construction program. So I studied economics for a few years, and I haven't really used it since. But got right back into development and construction as soon as I graduated college, and yeah, that's all I've been doing ever since.
Love it. It's so awesome. It's cool when you get a passion as a child and like also see your parents do things and then be able to kind of like go in their footsteps, but then also create your own, mark on the world, which is
Right, right.
wonderful. All right, so let's talk a little bit about your relationship with Optidge. How long have you been working with Optidge?
I think I first contacted you like a month before the pandemic started. It's been a while.
Yeah.
Um, I was looking back at my emails and I saw that I believe we first hired you like I think the pandemic really started where things started shutting down like March 10th or something like that. And I saw an email from you March 8th that we were going to get started on my website. Thinking, the market's great. We're about to explode. Everything's going to be fantastic. I need to redo my website, hire an ad agency, marketing agency, and that's where we got started.
Man, that's crazy. So I think we must that might have been like my last like in-person meeting, right? Because I remember we got together. I think it was at your office and we spoke and yeah, that's wow, right? Who would have
Yeah,
known?
it was probably January, February. I think it was February 2020 when we met in person.
Amazing. And I know that the initial ask was quite a unique one, right? So you had Highlands Construction, and when you actually searched for the brand name Highlands Construction, your own website didn't show up at the top of Google. I think it was, the middle, the bottom of the second page. Most people they're like, "Hey, I want to rank for, Construction Houston," which I'm sure you want to do as well.
Right.
But at least at that point it was like, "Man, even our own brand name is not showing up. Like we need some help with that." Do you remember like that need and that worry?
Yeah, I remember that conversation where I couldn't find my own company. I don't think it was even on the first page. There's a large home builder in town with a similar name, and we're not in residential construction so much, but I knew right away people would confuse us with them, even though it's really a very different business. And that was my biggest concern because I was just starting to get the name out there, and I knew first thing people do is Google the company, and if they couldn't find or if they didn't know our domain, they weren't going to find us, and that was a big problem.
Yeah, and like from the agency side, obviously we do SEO, but that type of SEO is usually like a subspecialty. I mean, we felt that we could do it, but you're not always successful, right? Like anytime you do something,
Right.
sometimes you could, but thank God, I don't remember exactly how long it took, but it was, a couple months here and there, and we were able to get it to where it rightfully belonged. And that was really, really cool. I remember how excited I was, and I'm sure you were excited as well.
Oh yeah, it was fantastic. It was quicker than I expected.
Cool. So, what services does Optidge provide you currently for your business?
Currently, we manage our Google Ads campaigns. That's been huge for us. Redesigned our website, obviously. Anytime we want changes to the website or any kind of support, you provide that as well. There was For a while, you managed our social media marketing and did a hell of a job with that. But our team grew, and we had people in house that can do that now. So we've moved on to that. But I mean, everything you guys have touched has been great and successful for us.
Wonderful. Thank you so much. And yeah, and that's really normal, right? As you work with businesses and they grow, bringing certain things in house is normal, and it's not an issue at all. So we're glad to see that you're growing, because when you grow, we grow, and vice versa.
Right,
So,
right.
what would you say is unique about your experience working with Optidge?
I think what's unique to you guys is that your customer service with a small business is outstanding. I think when I first started Googling, ad companies, marketing companies in Houston, some of the bigger names came up, and would send them inquiries or whatever, no response. Or if I did get a response, it's like, this is our cost. That's it. That's our minimum, whatever. It was far too much for us at the time. We were a relatively new company. And when one of my contacts recommended I talk to you, I figured you were a smaller company at the time. I know you've grown significantly since then. And your service was great, response was great, communication was amazing. You asked for meeting in person rather than just emailing, and that's the kind of communication I prefer. It's great to email, but it's especially early on, it's good to meet in person and kind of get a feel for each other, because I knew we were going to put a lot on your team to help us grow, and I want to make sure we had a good partner for the long term, not just someone that would redesign our website and that's the end of it. So yeah, I would say the customer service you provided, I felt like I was a Fortune 500 company. I would get the same customer service from you.
Thank you for that. And I think it's cool. It's interesting because, we have done a lot of different things throughout the years. And, when we first started, it wasn't necessarily clear what the relationship would look like. What exactly would you do? But, you know, the fact that we both started together on the right foot, both understood how we should work together, that sort of strengthened the bond. And then, when the next opportunity came, you weren't afraid to ask us. And we weren't afraid to say, yeah, like obviously, if we can do more for Shaz and Highlands, why not?
And I probably shouldn't tell you this, but I don't go out for quotes from anyone else. And so, because I know your pricing is good and you provide the service and what we need, it's always
Well,
successful.
I appreciate that. So, what, if any, are the values or brand pillars that Highlands and Optich share? So, like when you think about your company and what you find important, and then what you get from either speaking to me or any of the other wonderful people at Optich, where do you feel like we kind of mesh together?
Yeah, I would say culturally very similar in terms of kind of a laid back but get it done type of atmosphere, culture. Your people are really easy to work with, great communication, um, very efficient. There's no BS. What do you need? Okay, this is what we can do for you. Do you want to do it? Okay, let's go. It's quick and easy. But I would say for us, I would say our number one, two, and three brand pillars again, I'm going back to customer service. Whenever, especially when I hire someone and they'll come from a company where um, they're after every penny, and it's like, well, this is going to cost us like extra $100 or whatever. And I'm like, look, we want a good long-term relationship with this customer. Let's do it. Let's knock it out of the park for them. And we do a lot of the same stuff. In terms of communication, I get monthly meetings with your team members, as especially with the Google Ads campaigns, because that evolves. I get weekly updates. I do the same thing for my clients. I have at least monthly meetings with them. I send them a weekly update every Friday, and just like you guys respond very quickly and efficiently to any requests, I do the same with our customers, and I try to reinforce that with my team all the time. We're even running a contest right now to see who can provide the best customer service, and whoever wins gets a stay at a
Oh
resort.
wow, I love that.
And yeah, we got a little point system going on, and adding points for good feedback and negative points for bad
No,
feedback.
it's perfect.
um, yeah. So I would say that we really align in those few areas.
It's interesting. So now, obviously, we're focusing a lot on Google Ads. I know that you were interested in Google Ads, but you were also a little nervous. Like, what is that really going to help me? I'd love. Why don't you share a little bit more about like how Google Ads, how I guess your view has changed, and those maybe some of those opportunities that have come your way because of the that platform.
Yeah, so I had some experience with Google Ads. I had run some campaigns myself in college when I had an e-commerce business. And if for that type of business, it obviously makes sense. It's a no-brainer. When it comes to construction, in my experience, typically commercial customers were not typically Googling, whatever kind of general contractor in the Houston area, that kind of thing. And normally it's, construction is kind of old school. I always say we're like 20 years behind of all the other industries. And people reach out, referrals, ask an architect, whatever, that kind of stuff. It's mostly referrals. And so you kind of pushed me into spending some money there, and I was very skeptical. Honestly, I remember telling my business partner that it's not going to work, but let's try it. Let's see. Let's put some money towards it. And it was more than I wanted to spend at the time because I did not expect the results that I received. But yeah, it's been very positive for us. It's far exceeded my expectations. I thought if it is successful, we might get a few leads a month, and we're getting multiple leads a day at this point.
Wow.
Mm.
Yeah, so we're not going to give away the secret sauce because that's Highlands, but it is
Yeah,
it is awesome that you have seen that and that you were willing to take the risk on something which you weren't exactly sure. And I think that's what makes you a successful businessman, right? Having that drive to try things. Yeah, it might work, it might not work, but at least trying it, to know, is an awesome attribute to have, and makes a lot of sense why you're continuing to grow and move into new things.
right.
So
And then over time, the campaign has actually become more effective as your team has kind of figured out what works and what doesn't, and went through the analytics with me and search terms and all that. So it's still improving to this day.
awesome. So a big part of Optidge is giving back, doing good. Why don't we talk about a special organization that I know to your heart and to your family and to your organization? I'd love for the listeners to know a little bit about it. And, obviously, if they can send some support your way, that would also be wonderful.
Yeah, I appreciate you bringing that up. We have supported for several years now the Houston Area Women's Center in Houston. They focus on helping families, women, and children and men with domestic violence, sexual assault. And we got involved with that originally because my wife, who's a therapist, worked there for them, I think about 5 years out of college, when she graduated U of H. And and we really supported their cause. We've had family members affected by these issues, so we were both very passionate about it. And so I always told her, one day I'm going to start a business and I'm going to support the organization. And we've done that. And so we were having an event last year for them, and they asked my wife and I to chair their annual luncheon that's coming up on April 5th. It's called the Hawk HAWC Believe Luncheon. And if you just Google HAWC Believe Luncheon 2023, it should come up. And my wife and I are supporting them by reaching out to our network and trying to raise $500,000 through the luncheon, through sponsorships and selling tickets to the luncheon. It's going to be great. We're going to have a panel of really, really well-known speakers speaking on the issues in the Houston community, and hear stories from women and families that have been helped by the organization. So it's a great cause, and I appreciate you letting me speak
Yeah,
about
of
it.
course. I've seen you very active in promoting it, and it's such an important thing. So the more that we can share the message, I think the better we can help everyone. So before we wrap up, just want to know what else, like what's big in the horizon for Shaz.
Um, well, we're focused very hard, we're very much on that luncheon. We're continuing to grow the company. The construction company has grown significantly. I think last year we 5x our revenue from the previous year, and this year we're looking to 2.5x it. And good start so far. It's only February, but that's what we're focusing on. We're focusing on developing our property outside of Beaumont for our investors and getting good returns from them. And we're looking for another property to purchase. And yeah, that's where we're at. Continue to grow the organization. We're having a lot of fun. Um, Team is great. We continue to grow, add people. We need to expand our office soon, I think. Hopefully, we can buy our own office building next time that we actually move in rather than selling. So that's where we're at.
Wonderful. Well, I'm so glad that you're doing so well. And as I've said many times in the past, I greatly appreciate your partnership. And we hope we can continue to do amazing things with each other.